Alright, everybody, it's time for some real politics. We gotta catch up on Donald Trump's legal trials he's going through. He's actually going through multiple that we're gonna be covering today, but this one deserves its own segment, of course. This article headline really blew me away. I don't know how more people aren't talking about this. Granted, the story is, a few days old at this point, but, I mean, I'm surprised people aren't still talking about this. Trump fraud trial judge home was swatting target, police say. I assume you guys know what swatting is, right? I presume a fair amount of you must not. Swatting is a prank. And the word prank is carrying a lot of weight here. Where one calls a police station, calls 911, and falsely reports that someone has committed a crime they haven't, or there is a situation that requires police attention that hasn't happened, and call it to a person's address so that a SWAT team, or just the police in general, it doesn't have to be the SWAT team, but generally they call in something so serious that a SWAT team comes in. That's why it got the name swatting. That was the most common thing. But they send in a SWAT team with guns and all the works to go into their house, assuming that they're going to have to shoot and kill someone, probably. Usually under the hope that maybe the police do fire off some shots and the person they swatted ends up dead. That hasn't been an uncommon motivation. Possibly the biggest swatting story that ever happened that, really got the topic into the, attention of most people was when Kutra from The Creatures got swatted. This got, national or, international media attention. Here's the news story clip about it. I watched The Creatures a lot back in the day, so I was literally watching the live stream when this fucking happened, dude. I was a big Creatures fan. But yeah, Kutra getting swatted is what really blew up this topic in the mainstream, and the police and media and a lot of government officials started to realize, oh my god, this is a thing we have to worry about and deal with. Obviously, there hasn't been enough done about it overall, but here in my city, Seattle, for example, I've been able to call the local Seattle Police Department and tell them, hey, I'm an internet figure, I get a fair amount of views online, I would say that I'm a pretty high threat target for swatting, I worry that I might have false calls made to my house that might waste police time, money, and cause dangerous situations unnecessarily, and they basically refer you to a different thing, and then from there, you go and you talk to them further, and they ask for your address, they ask for, your contact number, and do a whole thing, and you're basically swatting proof after that. It's just Seattle that does this as far as I know. Maybe a couple other cities have gotten on board with it, but yeah, it's pretty based. I'm just imagining Creature the house elf for some reason. No, it's just spelled Creatures normally, but yeah, anyway, here's the clip about the swatting. You'll get an idea of what a swatting is from this video.
Call it a prank, others call it revenge, but swatting is a crime costing taxpayers thousands of dollars in emergency resources. We checked, and swatting has been a problem in Colorado for years. In 2005, Colorado Springs police received a call claiming a father and daughter were being held hostage in their home. The location was real, but the incident was fake. Situations similar to today's incident have been reported throughout the country. Earlier this year in April, a 17-year-old boy in New York was swatted while playing the video game Call of Duty online. And we found celebrities aren't immune to this either. Both Justin Bieber and Kim Kardashian have been victims of swatting too. The FBI could get involved if authorities determined today's phone call was placed from somewhere outside of Colorado.
This is swatting.
You're watching the SWAT team busting into a Littleton office, all caught on a webcam. Now, right now, security measures have been lifted. Employees allowed back into the building at Mineral near Broadway after what police are calling a false report about a shooting. Well, Lance Hernandez is live.
They were in a rental office in a big office building with tons of other businesses that also rent office space there. They had their own, locked away area, their own office, floor and area. But there were several other businesses that had employees in other parts of that building that were renting their own office areas. And so those people all got swatted too. People who worked for companies that had no idea what was happening with these streamers that were working just next door to them. So most of those people out there were not from the Creatures, the YouTuber group that got swatted here. They were people that worked in the building that had nothing to do with anything.
Live where all the confusion took place. This was just a short while ago. And Lance, what exactly happened here?
Well, and police say someone called 911 about 11:30 this morning and said that he had shot multiple office workers in this building on the 1200 block of West Mineral. Now, this was the scene this morning as police and fire officials responded en masse, implementing an active shooter protocol. They evacuated the building. These are pictures of employees leaving with their hands up. When police went inside the Creatures LLC, an online gaming company, this is what they found. A man playing a game online with a camera on himself as police stormed in. You can see police handcuff him as they try to find the shooter. It turns out there wasn't one. Police now trying to find out who called with that false report. They're telling us that if they find the person responsible, they will arrest him and charge him.
It's rare that they ever actually find the people responsible for this shit, though. That's the sad part. Prevention is the best way to deal with this problem rather than, after the fact, because, there's nothing, all the harm's been done after the fact, and there's really no way to prevent this stuff. Anybody can call a false call to someone else's house if they know the address. At this point in the internet's history, you have to know that you're almost certainly getting people killed or seriously injured. When swatting? Oh, yeah, when someone does a swatting, like when someone calls in a call to swat someone, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely attempted murder. Like, whether they know it or not, and I imagine most of them know it, swatting someone is attempted murder, to be very, very clear, and it should be charged as such. And sometimes it's successful murder. It's happened. Police are investigating a swatting incident at the New York home of the judge set to hear closing arguments in the business fraud trial of former President Donald Trump. An email making a threat to the home of Judge Arthur Engoron was sent to a Long Island newspaper, Nassau County Police told CNBC. The threat comes on the heels of swatting calls made about the homes of Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith and the judge presiding over a criminal case against Trump. So this is not the first time anybody involved with going against Trump has gotten swatted, by the way. They just don't really get a lot of media attention when it does for some fucking reason. Police are investigating a swatting incident at the New York home of the judge set to hear closing arguments at later Thursday morning in the business fraud trial of former President Donald Trump. It is the second time in days that a swatting attempt has been made against a judge handling a case involving Trump. Swatting involves false claims of violence or other incidents at other people's homes or businesses to get police to swarm these locations. An email making a threat to the Long Island home of Judge Arthur Engoron was sent to a local newspaper. I've actually heard that name before, too. Either he's been harassed already. No, I think I've just covered this particular trial already and read his name a lot of times. Huh. It's crazy that we've had to cover this stuff for so much and so long that now, the judges' names are becoming familiar to me. Yeah, I remember this Engoron's, that last name is memorable, okay? Engoron is not a last name you forget, okay? Yeah. Officers who responded to Engoron's home did not find a threat to the judge at the residence. Oh, so this isn't a false call saying the judge did something, probably because, the police would know that's the judge's house. I don't think the judge did something. They called a false call that there was a threat, like a danger, to him at his house. Interesting. Different kind of swatting. I guess because he's so known. Even among law enforcement, that judge would be known. The Daily Beast news outlet and NBC News reported that a bomb threat had been made against Engoron's home, but a spokesman for the Nassau County Police Department would not confirm the nature of the threat to CNBC. Closing arguments in Trump's civil fraud trial are still set to begin at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in Manhattan Supreme Court despite the threat. Trump arrived at the court Thursday to attend as he had planned. The threat came a day after Engoron denied a request by Trump's lawyer to allow the former president to give some of the defense's closing arguments. The lawyer, Chris Keese, refused to confirm to Engoron that Trump would abide by restrictions the judge had set on what Trump could say during the closing. So This judge and several others, Keys maybe? Yeah, possibly. It's spelled Kise. So this judge and several others presiding over cases that Trump is involved in have been swatted, sent death threats. Trump himself is not very well behaved in court, even if he does somehow manage to get good lawyers. I don't think these judges are going to rule in favor of him. Like, there's no way at this point that the judge is not literally foaming at the mouth to give Trump the worst consequence that he is legally able to impart upon him, right? Like, this judge would have to be like Jesus Christ himself to turn the other cheek at this point, including the other judges. From what I can tell, Judge Engoron has not been a fan of Trump's behavior just in the courtroom alone. And we're talking about life ruination that Trump's fans are engaging in as retaliation against him outside of the courtroom, too, on top of that. It's like day 1, hour 1, he just insults his judge for each new case. Every time, yeah. I really don't see this ending well for him. From what I can tell, though, he's trying to prolong these court cases till he's president, because he's trying to insist that there is no way for any criminal charges whatsoever to be held against the president unless he has been impeached by both the House and the Senate. Impossible, by the way, which is why that's the standard he's trying to argue. So he would have to be fully impeached by the House and Senate first, he claims, and then he could be criminally tried and found guilty. But not until after he's been fully impeached by the House and Senate, unanimously. An impossible thing that has never happened, I think. Has it ever happened? Has the House and Senate both ever impeached a president before? I think maybe once. Listen, it was before my time, okay? Not in my life. No? Yeah, no, I guess. Okay. Apparently, no. I was right. Literally in 1920, a century ago? Well, 2 people said no and 1 person said a century ago. So, effectively, no. Not realistically. It would never happen. Like, by his standard, he could never be held criminally liable for anything because you wouldn't even be able to charge him. Like, it wouldn't even be possible. Impeached, yes. Convicted, no. I meant, has a president ever been impeached by the House and then the Senate? Like, back to back. Has that ever happened? Nixon and Clinton were impeached but not convicted? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it, chat. I was very curious. On Sunday night, police and fire trucks responded to a false report of a shooting at the Washington, D.C. home of U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan. Oh, God damn, these names are so familiar now. We've been covering this shit. Like, they're like characters in like a TV show we're watching, you know? We're tuning in every week for a new episode. That judge is handling the case where Trump is charged with crimes related to his attempt to overturn his loss in the 2020 presidential election and his incitement of the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. On Christmas Day, Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith was the target of an attempted swatting. Smith, who lives in Maryland, is prosecuting Trump in the D.C. case that Chutkan is handling, and in another federal criminal case in Florida involving Trump's retention of classified documents after leaving the White House. Al Baker, a spokesman for the New York State court system, said he was aware of the threat against Engoron. Quote, comprehensive security protocols have been in place around these court proceedings since the beginning, and that continues, Baker said. Out of an abundance of caution and due to concerns for the safety of Justice Engoron, we are increasing those security protocols at this time. Quote, we do expect to continue with the proceedings as planned, Baker said. I don't see this doing Trump any favors. Do Trump supporters think that swatting the judges presiding over his cases, looks good for him? Like, I'd be almost willing to posit a conspiracy theory that Trump haters are doing this to make Trump look bad, because while Trump supporters are really, 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 really dumb, I don't feel like they're dumb enough to think that swatting the judge presiding over his case would help him in said case. They are really dumb, to be fair. But how would that help him? How could anybody think that would help him? Though, to be fair, a lot of Trump supporters fundamentally don't even understand the court system. So maybe they think if they get the judge killed, then Trump is free or something. Maybe I overestimate. Yeah, Tanner H says I overestimate them. Maybe I just overestimate these people. I don't know. They are pretty dumb.